Good afternoon, everyone. Lots going on, as I said, and I am in Ottawa for the People's Party conference this weekend. I'm very excited for it. It's a lot of stuff going on, and I am checked into the hotel. So if you are also checked into the hotel, well, reply me on Twitter or whatever. But for everyone else, here's the other part of the show and what I was alluding to, I'll get to in the next tab. But first, I wanted to point out, I didn't mention this yesterday on my show, and somebody asked me, and I pinned the comment. But here's the question and the answer. Elise Vaughn is tweeting, for anyone asking about a penalty for Prime Minister Trudeau, Dion's office told us the commissioner can impose fines in some cases, but those penalties do not apply here. And this is an article from a couple of days ago. I actually covered this article, but I'm not going to read it right now. So the link is in the description if you want to check it out yourself, but that's the short version. There's not going to be any penalty. He just has to go into the election wearing it as a badge of honor. Yes. Here's Brian Lilley tweeting, we now know that Justin Trudeau broke the law when he violated the Conflict of Interest Act. Now we need to know whether he violated the criminal code through obstruction of justice. There is a good case that he did. Read and retweet #CanadaPoly, #LavScam. And here's the article, and we'll go through it. It's a Toronto Sun article from Brian Lilley. It says, Trudeau broke the law. Now we need to know if it was criminal. We know that Justin Trudeau did in the SNC Lavalin. We know what Justin Trudeau did in the SNC Lavalin affair was unethical. Now we need to know if what he did was criminal. The Ethics Commissioner found that Trudeau broke the law, violated the Conflict of Interest Act in pushing for SNC Lavalin to get a sweetheart deal to avoid bribery and corruption charges. What the RCMP need to determine now is whether Trudeau is guilty of obstruction of justice. The RCMP is examining this matter carefully with all available information and will take appropriate actions as required, the RCMP said in a statement. That doesn't tell us whether Trudeau is actually under investigation, but he should be. Quote, the evidence abundantly shows that Mr. Trudeau knowingly sought to influence Miss Wilson-Raybould both directly and through the actions of his agents. Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion wrote in his report, for people that think trying to influence the Attorney General is not to prosecute a company on bribery and corruption charges is no big deal, stop and think about that. The leader of our national government was trying, as the report stated, to, quote, circumvent, undermine, and ultimately attempt to discredit the decision of the Director of the Public Prosecutions, the DPP. That means that the leader of our national government wanted to decide whether a company, it could very well have been an individual, would be prosecuted by how he felt about them. We do not have a justice system that decides who should and should not be prosecuted based on who you know in the PMO, but that is what Trudeau wanted. The criminal code defines obstruction of justice as someone who, quote, willfully attempts in any manner to obstruct, pervert, or defeat the course of justice in a judicial proceeding. Can you say that Justin Trudeau's actions don't fit within that definition? When this story first broke, I asked former Ontario Attorney General and Liberal Michael Bryant for his thoughts. Bryant, who now heads up the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, was blunt. Quote, a lot of police officers have laid a lot of obstruction of justice charges on a lot of ordinary Canadians with a lot less evidence than this, Bryant said. Justice, if served properly, should treat the Prime Minister the same as the average person. If ordinary Canadians would face charges for this, then so should the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is trying to skate past this by saying that he was just trying to protect jobs. Never mind that the former CEO of SNC Lavalin said that the 9,000 jobs in Canada would not have been in jeopardy if the company was convicted, and forget that most people employed by SNC would be hired elsewhere. The PM's claim raises some important questions. If it's okay to break the law to save jobs, how many jobs does it take to justify breaking the law? The PM is playing a dangerous game here, one that could do serious damage to our justice system and challenge the idea that Canada is a country based on the rule of law. If the PM can try to force a decision on prosecution, then what is to stop a future PM from calling a judge to get the decision they want? This isn't a justice system that I want for Canada. This is what's on the line here. This is why this matters. And yeah, well done, Mr. Lilley. And it's very important, because if they are allowed to get away with this, well, then it becomes entrenched, right? It becomes okay. Really, that's it. There's no do-over. Precedent has been set. Here is another Liberal MP. Remember, well, here it is. 2 days ago with at Jim Richards 1010, are you embarrassed by that tweet? Adam Vaughn, not at all. And Adam Vaughn tweeted out a picture of American camps, not detention camps, the illegal immigration centers, their areas with cages, etc., and said kids in cages. And now, and at first he said he wasn't embarrassed by this and he wasn't going to apologize, but he released this statement, and he says, statement from Adam Vaughn: the children of refugees should not be used as political pawns. The children of refugees are in profoundly vulnerable situations across the planet, here in Canada. Earlier this week, I criticized the Conservative government of Ontario on this point over Twitter. My tweet, however, in using a picture of refugee children in detention at a U.S. border facility, did the very same thing I was criticizing, politicizing people in these detention centers. Back to the apology. I should not have used or referenced the plight of these children in the way that I did. My tweet has been rightly criticized for doing so. I accept that criticism, and I have taken the tweet down. I'm sorry that the tweet pushed what should be a serious conversation about child welfare into a political debate over what constitutes fair and responsible comment. I accept responsibility for the impact my tweet has had, and I have removed it from my account. I remain committed to making sure all children, regardless of the status of their parents, are entitled to have their human rights respected as children. Adam Vaughn. So I just find it interesting, and I didn't find the original tweet mainly because I wanted it to be more about the removal, because Mr. Vaughn refused to take down some other tweets that were controversial as well. So it's interesting that he took this one down. But using an American image and using it to evoke Canadian emotions, right? Saying this is happening in our world, which is not false, it is happening in our world, but it's not happening in Canada. So trying to pin it on the Conservatives seems like a political dirty trick, and I don't think Canadians like dirty tricks like that. And they're speaking up, not just me. A lot of Canadians are speaking up, enough to get somebody who has historically refused to apologize, to get him to back down and say, oh yeah, okay, maybe I made a mistake there. And so, right or wrong, that's a positive result from people standing up and saying, no, that's not how this works. So I'm hopeful that enough people are awake. I'm hopeful enough people are looking around and seeing the damage that Trudeau is doing through espousing rule of law, but his actions don't back that up. It's so interesting to watch. It's so, well, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So thanks for watching, everybody. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you're in Ottawa, text me. I don't think they're doing dinner at the reception tonight, so we've got to do dinner beforehand. Okay. Have a good day, everyone.